Knappogue Castle, 14-year-old, single malt Irish whiskey. Sorry, this is backwards. Why did I buy this? So usually when I go browsing the single malt Scotch shelves, I'm looking for new bottling, sales, things like that. I'm usually not checking on just like where the tag prices are, but a few days ago I was. And I happened to notice that Glenallachie 12 has gone up to $69.99 in Chicago, $70. And also, by the way, it is not 12 anymore. It is now 8. If you kind of look across the board, that's sort of where most single malt Scotch prices have gone. They've all taken price hikes of 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. I remember a few years ago I was telling people to look at the Glenallachie 10, the cask strength, because it was the one of the few sherry bomb cask strength offerings out there that was still 60 bucks or under. It is now 100 bucks. And that kind of made me, have a come to Jesus moment and start thinking about a category I have been, basically since I started this channel, kind of been complaining about the pricing a little bit. Irish whiskey. I have consistently been saying that Irish whiskey right now is too expensive. There's a few bottlings from new distilleries that are probably more expensive than they really should be for what they are. And there's a lot of bottlings from some old distilleries that are also more expensive than they really should be. But I wanted to grab something from Ireland just to see if there was a way out from where official bottlings pricings in Scotland have been going. So here's my pick. Knappogue Castle, 14-year-old Twinwood. What does a Twinwood mean? Are we talking about finishes in Sauterne and port, maybe? Are we talking about stout barrels and Pinot Grigio? Nope, listen to this. The result of a marriage of 14-year-old single malts aged in 2 types of wood: bourbon barrels and Oloroso sherry barrels. I know. I'm amazed no one else has thought of this. Everything about this looks kind of old-fashioned, which is appealing to me. The only thing that isn't is the bit that says non-chill filtered and 46% alcohol. Knappogue Castle is, it's an independent bottler, but it's more like what we would call an NDP now. So they're bottling stuff under their own name. Distilleries are non-disclosed. We know a lot of their stuff has been Cooley. I'm dead certain this is Bushmills. I don't know what else it would be. So let's get some notes on the table. 14 years old. This cost about $55. So if this is good, it's a buy. Let's see. This does not smell like Scotland, which is great. Lots of like autumn leaves and campfire ash on this. There's some like coffee, chocolate notes, almost like a cafe mocha kind of thing. English breakfast tea as well. Gummy bears are showing up. That's something I get a lot of the time in triple-distilled barley-based spirits. I don't know why gummy bears, gummy worms, but they're there. Honey, lots of honey. Call it orange blossom honey. Some oatmeal too, almost like some burned oatmeal, like you took a torch and caramelized your oatmeal a little bit. Ooh, and quite a bit of citrus notes on this. There's some orange peel, lemon peel, black pepper, lots of black pepper happening, kind of tying in with those campfire ashy notes. Cardamom pods, a little bit. Touch of dried flower, although this is not by any means a flower-driven whiskey. It's actually, it's funny. It's on the nose. It's both kind of very fresh and quite kind of dense and heavy at the same time. You have this marriage of like honey and fruity stuff, but also like ash and pepper and coffee and that kind of thing. It's so kind of doing everything. It's a little bit of a white Rioja of whiskeys, if you will. Hello, I see you got that joke. Thank you. It wasn't even a joke. That was more of a reference. Sorry. Really solid nose, actually. The presentation is definitely helping on this. No idea about the color. Doesn't say natural color anywhere, so who knows. Oh well, moving on. On the palate. Yeah, okay. Lots of little things going on. Where do I start? Okay. First thing to point out, there is an ashy, peppery thing that kind of hangs over everything that's going on here. Initially, when I opened this, I was kind of a little bit worried about it, but then I noticed it doesn't actually crowd out any of the other notes. It's just kind of there, giving them a little color. It's like a pedal point. You know, if a bass drone could be made of ash and pepper, that's what it's doing. But if you do not like ash and pepper, maybe stay away from this one. Kind of burned foliage, leaves, twigs, but also some like just, you know, again, dried leaves. There's a little bit of a fall character to this. S'mores, English breakfast tea. A lot of this falls from the nose, really. Gummy bears again. Some coffee notes, like a nice cortado. Lemon and orange peel once again. It's a very refreshing whiskey. It's very easy to drink. I mean, I would take this down a notch before serving it to Grandpa. I would add a little bit of water, but this is the kind of thing I feel like I could hand to novices, and they would try it and say, "Ah, that's good whiskey," and that's not worth nothing. So you got that little twist, like the little citrusy thing, giving this freshness. Maybe like you toasted your lemon peel and your orange peel a little bit, and you drop them directly into your oatmeal. Clover honey, chai, slightly grassy, a little dried grass. And again, lots and lots and lots of ashy, peppery stuff. I'm going to give this a squirt of water. We'll come back to it in a second. So I'm going to be honest with you. When I bought this, just kind of for the hell of it, I was really hoping that it just, when I opened it, that it wouldn't fall flat on its face. I was worried I would be getting something that spent 13 and a half years in, you know, dead wood, and then was kind of aggressively, you know, re-racked into fresh stuff, and it would just fall apart, you know, if I looked at it hard. This is not that. This is, you know, I was hoping to get an 82, maybe an 83. We're going to go higher than that with this. And yeah, I'm dead sure this is Bushmills. I know Knappogue Castle has done Cooley stuff before. They've done some really cool old Cooley before. But this is, I mean, it's a single malt. It's triple distilled, and it's 14 years old. The age alone rules out all the really younger distilleries. The single malt thing pretty much rules out Middleton. I'm sure they're doing some malt batches there. So I wouldn't be shocked if they were, but I've never seen them. And the fact that it's triple distilled kind of rules out Cooley, because they're still double distilling, so far as I know. So this has got to be Bushmills. And that's great, because the current Bushmills range is kind of a wet squib. It's just, it's 40%, you know, to the moon, and lots of wood technology. I don't really enjoy it. this is maybe it's unfair to not have the tasting side by side, but if I needed to buy a Bushmills, I would probably go for this. All right, I'm gonna shut up and we'll get back to this. See if it, because it could still fall apart with water, but we'll see what happens. On the nose, it is not falling apart with water. It's actually developing. The honey and I was gonna say the pepper. It's almost more like it's pepper, but a different kind of pepper, almost like a pink peppercorn kind of thing kicking out. There's also a little bit of a fig Newton note coming through, a little bit of grainy dried fruit. Maybe that's the sherry cask. I wasn't really getting any kind of sherry influence, at least overt, obvious sherry influence when I was drinking this neat. But yeah, now it's starting to creep through. More pepperiness and that kind of figgy, dried fruit cookie, old people cookie kind of note. Okay, on the palate. Yeah, okay. With a squirt of water, Grandpa would definitely like this. So it's still lots of ash and pepper, but with water, the sherry comes out. We are getting figs, prunes. This is good. I don't always drink whiskey with water, right? But it's a way, adding water is a way to put pressure on the spirit and just see how it reacts. If it falls apart, that tells you something. If it improves, that tells you something. This has actually taken itself up a notch with water. Yeah, there's like a Turkish coffee thing happening now. This is pretty darn good, actually. And the finish, I should talk more about it. The mouthfeel, again, very driven by ash and pepper. You have to be into that, but the finish is very long, compelling. It's going way back to the back of my mouth. Holds for a long time. I guess, as I think I said before, it feels both very, very fresh, almost. There's almost a mouth-watering effect. It's very drinkable, but at the same time, it's got some real weight to it. Like it's those sherry notes, right? The peppery, ashy thing. This is a nice little whiskey. I'm going to give this 86 points out of 100, which might. I have to check my records. This might be the highest rated Irish whiskey I have reviewed. Which is a little bit of an upset because it is cheaper than a lot of the Irish whiskeys I've reviewed. Yeah, I mean, so vis-a-vis, I mean, it's a different beast from Scotland, right? No peat in this, absolutely no peat in this. But I mean, you gotta think like, what about my perennial favorites? Do I like this? Do I like it more than Benromach 10? No, but it's also better presented than Benromach 10. Do I like this better than Bunnahabhain 12? I actually call them right on par. It would depend on my mood. Like Bunnahabhain 12 is very much a wintry kind of dram. It doesn't have any peat, but it's really, really weighty and sherried and savory and heavy. This is not. This is kind of a four-season kind of whiskey, which is why it's impressive. I mean, I probably give it to Deanston 12 by a nose, which is $5 cheaper. Bunnahabhain 12 is exactly the same price as this now. Deanston's cheaper, but it's also way more difficult and cerebral, and this is just kind of easy to knock back and forget about it. I like this a lot. 86 points for Knappogue Castle, 14-year-old. Yeah. If you see it, grab it. Thanks for watching and cheers.